Hey, this is Laura from Pro Literacy with Terry. We're here to talk about All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr and our Facebook book club event today at 3 o'clock. So I really enjoyed the book, Terry. What did you think?
Oh, I loved it. And, you know, once you get started, it's hard to put it down.
Absolutely, yeah. And it was an interesting book set during World War II, started in like 1934, and then it went through 1944, I think it was.
Yep.
Went through all different places in Europe, so it was really interesting to kind of travel.
Yeah, kind of like a history lesson and a little about the war, a little about France.
Absolutely, and Germany thrown in there. There were some really cool references throughout the book, and we'll talk about this more at 3 o'clock during our discussion. But Jules Verne, for example, is mentioned throughout the book.
Yeah, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
It's really interesting to see that woven in. I'm curious to hear what other people have to say about that.
Like, I was picturing how big would a Braille book of that be,
right?
For this little girl. But, you know.
It is quite an image to think about.
It is. Mm-hmm. One of the other things that, and I read that, that Doerr was inspired by the impact that radio communication made on people, and especially on the events of the war. And there was a lot of that kind of woven in, Werner working on the radio and listening to the radio communications. I thought that was a really interesting idea.
Yeah, it's interesting how did that come about? Why did he pick radios? Why in World War II, you know?
Yeah, and how would that spark like this huge story?
Exactly. You know? And I think, so when Anthony Doerr is here on April 12th, which we have some tickets to give away during 3 o'clock during our Facebook discussion, to see him live here April 12th in Syracuse. So we'll get to ask him that and hopefully find out a little bit more about where did this big idea come from? How did this book come to life?
I also really feel like I want to ask him about Marie-Laure's blindness.
Yeah.
Like, it's so much a part of the story that I can't even picture her, you know, if she were sighted.
Right.
But how did he just decide on that? And then the way the blindness is all throughout. Like, there's this one quote: "To shut your eyes is to guess nothing of blindness," which when you get to know Marie-Laure, you really understand. There's so much to her, and her character is so deep, and her other senses are so sharp.
Strong, yep.
But I just wonder, you know, when you're writing a book like this, how do you decide? Well, my main character is going to be blind.
And I wonder how he got into that headspace to be able to write it so well as someone who
so
lost
convincingly,
her sight. Yes,
right?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. I thought another part that was really cool was like the grandfather that was kind of woven throughout the story too, but they never really went too far into the grandfather's story, and we don't want to spoil any endings because we're really only discussing the first half of the book today. But you know, that's something I'd be interested in hearing other people's thoughts about the grandfather and the role that he plays, I guess, between Werner and Marie-Laure and Etienne and all the different characters in the book. And so we're excited to see everybody at 3 o'clock and join us on Pro Literacy's Facebook.
We can't wait to hear your questions.
Yes.